Oh yeah, everybody out there, you know what time it is. That's right. It's 1:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Western Hemisphere of the planet Earth, in the solar system, Milky Way galaxy, Laniakea supercluster, observable universe. But more accurately, it's time for One Piece Chapter 1026 review, titled Pivotal Clash. A clash that is pivotal. Actually, the original Japanese name for this chapter was Tenno-zan, alright? Which is a fun word to say. Tenno-zan. Just say it, Barry. Yeah, it's cool to say. Tenno-zan is the name of a mountain, or more accurately, it's the name of a battle that occurred at a mountain during the Warring States era, or the Sengoku period of Japan. That's right, we get to talk about Japanese history! Yay! Okay, so first thing I'll say, the one thing I always say before we talk about Japanese history, especially during this era, like the late Sengoku period going into the Edo period, go watch Drifters. I'm not sure if that's a great source of Japanese history, but that's where I learned like 95% of it, so go watch Drifters. But no, so during the Sengoku period, everybody knows about the name Oda Nobunaga, right? Like everybody knows who that is at least. Okay, so Oda Nobunaga was a guy that almost unified all of Japan during that era, at the very end of the Sengoku period, okay? Oda Nobunaga was killed at Honnoji Castle by a guy named Akachi Mitsuhide, alright? Now, one of Oda Nobunaga's followers was Hideyoshi, and he eventually avenged Oda Nobunaga by slaying Akachi Mitsuhide during the Tenno-zan Mountain, or the decisive Tenno-zan Mountain battle, okay? This eventually led to Hideyoshi being the one that unified Japan, and he was the Kanpaku, he was kind of the regent at the time, and this eventually led he died shortly thereafter. There was some invasions to Korea along this period, and then eventually that led into the Tokugawa taking over, and then the Edo period started, which I'm sure a lot more people, probably the most famous era in our early Japan, or feudal Japan, was probably the Edo period, right? So, there you go. There's some really quick history for you here. The cover page is Nami working as a seamstress in a clothing shop, making a little outfit for, I guess, a lion minx, like cub, like I guess they're ready to go to school. Like the lion mink is bringing his son in to go get some school clothes, and Nami's like making him an outfit. And it's actually a very similar outfit to one that she actually wore when she was a little girl at Kokoyashi Village that like Bellemere made for her with like the sunflower on it. So that's a nice callback. That's a nice touch. But yeah, so there you go. There's your cover page and some Japanese history for you. All right, so we start off the chapter by cutting over to the flower capital, where the fire festival is in full swing. And you know what? Everybody's having a fantastic time, completely unaware of the fact a giant island is hovering over them, about to crush all of their bones, okay? Yoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Right, but I'm glad they're having fun. I'm glad they're having fun. This is like the one day a year they can do this. I mean, look, Kaido could have lifted up the whole island and crashed it down on the shore, like, immediately. You know, he could have done this, like, hours ago, but at least they had a few hours to enjoy themselves, get drunk, have some cotton candy, whatever. So, last time we saw them, Tenguyama Hitetsu and Otoko, who was Yasuie's adoptive daughter, were walking through the area, just having fun, and so they're sitting down, and Otoko's eating some cotton candy, probably the first time in her life she's ever been able to enjoy that, and so, Tenguyama's like, "Are you having fun there, Otoko?" And she's like, "Yeah, this is great! I can hardly even remember why I was sad! Oh, that's because your dad died! Oh, that's right! He got shot right in front of me! Damn it! Tenguyama's not the greatest grandpa in the world, but he tries. That didn't happen, I'm just being funny. Some dark humor for you there, okay? Considering where we're going with Horroween this year, I don't know. Yeah, just get ready for that. Alright, so, anyway, Tenguyama is also thinking about Otama, because remember, Otama was also kind of like, sort of like he was like the elder, or like the grandpa of like Amagasa that like took care of anybody that was like a wayward, like lost orphan, essentially. And so Otama was, one of these orphans, and so she, of course, went to Onigashima with Speed and the other gifters that she used the dango on. Now, Tenguyama did not approve of this. He's like, you get back here right now, young lady! And Otama's like, "Sorry, no, I have to go to the island and fight a dragon and protect my friends and all that." And Speed is like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll take care of her." And so Tenguyama obviously was a little apprehensive about that, but they were already out to sea, and he couldn't really do anything to stop them. So he's trying to put on, like, well, I would say a face, but he's wearing a mask, but he's trying to put on, like, a positive face for Otoko here, like, just taking her to the festival, having a good time. But he is worried about Otama, but there's like nothing he could really do at the moment, so it's like, okay, I guess we'll just have to enjoy the festival and just hope for the best, hope she comes back in one piece and all that stuff. Haha! So anyway, we cut to the top of the cloud cover, like the cloud ceiling above the flower capital, and it's very cloudy out, but you could kind of see the shadow, the menacing shadow emerging from the cloud cover as Onigashima is very, 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 very close. Like, we actually see a perspective here where Tenguyama is talking to Otoko, and then in the background, you know, nobody's probably paying attention to this because everybody's getting drunk and having a good time, but if anybody paid attention to the sky, you could kind of see like a black shadow emerging in the distance. So it's starting to reach like the range that's like, it's almost there. Like in the next few chapters, this damn island should be hovering right over it. Now, just because it's hovering right over doesn't mean it's going to immediately drop down, all right? We could have a moment where like it hovers over the capital for a couple of chapters. Maybe then people in the flower capital actually start to notice the damn thing and maybe evacuate, but Kaido is like in the middle of fighting, so he doesn't want to drop it like right away, right? So we might have a situation like that. Actually, it would probably be best for people to panic, because I think the natural, like, you see something giant floating in the sky, oh my god, it's a giant muffin! Man, did I have too much to drink? Nah, man, I'm sober, and that's freaking a giant muffin! Alright, we should get out of here. I mean, panic would be panic, but at least people would get away by the time the damn thing crashes down. Though, depending on how high up the thing is, I mean, if it crashes down, it might create a shockwave that you might not be able to outrun that, you know what I mean? But anyway, we'll see where that goes. So, we cut to the top of Muffin Mountain, where, of course, Kaido is there, Momo's also in his dragon form, Luffy, Yamato, as well as one of the Marys, one of the members of Kaido's crew that has, like, the tag on his face, the eyeball. This is a male Mary, which usually they're, like, little clockwork animals or, like, women that were around Bao Huang. So I think this is the first male member of the Marys that we've seen, and I think I finally understand how the Mary thing works, okay, with that surveillance network that Kaido has. Alright, because for a while there I was wondering if they were just all clockwork constructs, like we see the little frogs like hopping around, like those were confirmed to be robots, and like the little mice that go around Onigashima and just observe everything, but there's also clearly human ones too, so I thought, well, like, were those humans also clockwork? So what I think it is that it might not be Bao Huang, because Bao Huang has the flying squirrel smile, but somebody else has some kind of devil fruit that's like a magical tag devil fruit that works like a wireless surveillance camera, okay? Surveillance, is that another word I can't say? Surveillance, whatever. Anyway, these tags basically work on whatever you put on them, you can see through the tag, alright? So, you know, those were regular humans that have the tags, and this is a human as we see right here, and that's confirmed at the end of the chapter because he actually gets knocked out with Conqueror's Haki, so he can't be a machine. And so the reason they probably use those small clockwork devices is because it's like, hey, we'll just make a little clockwork frog and a clockwork mouse and add the tags to them, and they'll just like jump around randomly throughout Onigashima so we can see a bunch of like random scenes at all times. Also, they can fit through small crevices and everything in the castle to always track the enemy no matter where they're at. So I don't like to think it's some kind of technology because it's like a tag you can see through. It seems like it has to be a devil fruit ability. We just don't know whose it is, okay? That's what I'm debunking on right now anyway. Anyway, this dude is watching the fight, and he's relaying the information back to all of Onigashima. He's like, I don't believe it. You know, there's two dragons here. One is Kaido, of course, the Azure Dragon, but then there's a Peach Dragon. I have no idea who that is. And then Yamato's here, and that was the reason Kaido, you know, was indisposed for so long, why Kaido did not reappear at the live stage, and Queen and King figure this out, because they're still fighting Sanji and Zoro downstairs, and they're like, oh, it must have been Yamato fighting Kaido, that's the reason why he was distracted. And he's like, oh yeah, by the way, Straw Hat Luffy's also still here. He's like, what? You know, we thought he knocked him off. He's like, well, he's still here. I don't know what to tell you, okay? So he's like, alright, just keep watch over the battle and let us know what goes on here, alright? So, we got this awesome team up here. I mean, this is pretty epic. We got Luffy on top of a damn dragon. Yamato is still there. Yamato remembers that it's Momo, because one of the things that Momo said to Yamato before they got separated was like, man, I just wish I could grow up and be a big dragon like Kaido. Then I would actually be able to help out, you know, here in this war. And so that clicks with Yamato. It was like, oh, I get it. He must have done something drastic in order to age himself up in order to become the giant dragon. So Yamato knows who it is, but I think she's also maybe a little bit concerned on exactly how Momo, you know, became the giant dragon all of a sudden, right? So, Kaido rears up to use his Boro breath because, you know, he's not waiting around to figure out what's going on here. He doesn't really care. So he's just like, Boro! And Luffy's like, alright, Momo, he's gonna fire a giant Kamehameha fire death laser beam because he's a dragon and they can apparently do that. So, I'm gonna need you to also fire a similar Kamehameha fire breath sort of thing. And Momo's like, yeah, I don't know how to do that. It's like, what do you mean you don't know how to do that? You're a dragon. I just became a dragon like 2 hours ago. I don't even know how this works. I'm like, all right, fine, just evasive maneuvers. It wasn't even 2 hours. He's probably been in this form for all but like 10 minutes, honestly. But no, so because he is a serpentine, like Chinese dragon, Momo is able to kind of dodge out of the way. It really helps that Boro breath is like a very linear, more of a laser attack than fire breath with like an area of an effect sort of thing. It's like a straight shot laser. And so Momo just kind of like avoids the laser by wrapping his body up, and so that's pretty cool. He's learning, okay? He didn't really have a lot of times to, you know, test this out, so here comes the crash course, okay? Quite literally. So next, Luffy's like, alright, you can't breathe fire. Alright, so instead, you should try this. And so he whispers something into Momo's ear. We do not know what he says at first, but he's just like, alright, Momo, you need to... He's like, what? Luffy, I can't do that. He's like, yeah, don't worry, I got this. So he jumps off of Momo, goes into gear third, and elephant guns Kaido, bam, right into the roof of Onigashima. Once again, Kaido being a dragon just kind of makes him a bigger target, but also, once again, you know, even Luffy's elephant gun and, you know, Haki involved, it seemed like his normal elephant gun, like he didn't add the Ryuo to it or the Conquerors, it was just a normal attack. So remember when he first ran into Kaido at Okobore Town, an elephant gun was enough to floor Kaido just by the momentum. It just does no damage to him, alright? So he knocks Kaido into the ground, and then Momo is just like, I don't know if I can do this, Luffy. The thing that Luffy told him to do was to bite Kaido. He's like, hey, look, okay, you can't use Boro breath, you don't know how to use any of the techniques as a dragon. That's cool. You still got giant teeth. They look pretty damn sharp. Use them. You know, bite the dragon, Momo. Achieve your dreams. Live up to your destiny, damn it. And so Momo's like, I don't know if I can do this, Luffy, I don't know. But then he flashes back to the night, in Momo's perspective, was only like 6 or so months ago, where Kaido broke into the castle, grabbed him, you know, choked him out above the balcony and almost killed him, right? And there was like the whole castle was on fire and he broke in and his mother's there and he's like so scared. And so he's just remembering the monster that Kaido was and all the stuff he did to his family and killed his father and his mother are both dead. And he's like, if it wasn't for that man, then mother and father they would still be here. And so he summons up his courage and just like blind hatred and rage, and he moves in and he just chomps down on Kaido. And Kaido just lets out a son of a bitch! You know, he just lets out this giant dragon roar as if he just got bit on the side of him by another giant dragon, which is what happened, okay? Now, it looks like a really effective attack at first. It looks like, oh man, Kaido is yelling out in pain. And then Momo's like chomping down even harder, like, this is what I have to do! This is what I have to do! And then Kaido just kind of composes himself. He's like, ah, you son of a... What are you doing? You know, it's sort of like the equivalent of like if you ever stepped on like a thumbtack or something, like for a moment, it's like it's in no danger of actually like, you know, seriously injuring you, but it like hurts for a second, like, oh man, why did... Ugh. You know, it's like something like that, the equivalent, okay? So Kaido's like, what are you doing, you stupid brat? And Momo's like, hi. It's just like, I'm fighting you, that's what I'm doing, alright? But it's okay, because before Kaido can counterattack, like launch a point-blank Boro breath at Momo, that's when Luffy jumps in and boom, attacks Kaido, knocks him away. So this is pretty cool. It's not like the straight-up dragon versus dragon battle. I mean, I guess it makes sense that Momo wouldn't be able to use the lightning and the fire breath up until now, or something else. Oh, I actually saw a theory, though, that was like, what if Momo's dragon ability, and maybe Kaido could do this too, it's just we never really saw it up until this point, but what if it's like venom in the fangs, you know, or something like that? Like maybe that's a way that Momo could help out, like he just injected Kaido with venom, and it might take a while to take effect, but when it does, it'll like slow him down or something, in reference to a few like venomous reptiles that do exist in our world, such as this truck. and the Gila monster, okay, which is, of course, you know, native to, like, southwestern United States. Also the Komodo Dragon, which is native to Asia, okay? So the Komodo Dragon, Gila monster, they have, like, venomous bites. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe that's, like, Momo's dragon ability. Since it is a direct copy of Kaido's, I would imagine, yeah, Momo has the potential to use all the techniques that Kaido can do. You know, maybe Kaido does have that kind of venomous attack. I don't know. He could summon wind and lightning and fire. Why not poison? Okay, just go with it, right? But at any rate, we don't know. So now we're cutting below the Onigashima Muffin Mountain Dome, all right? Now, when these dragons are getting together, they also summon the storm clouds, all right? Just like when Kaido showed up in Okabore Town, the sky went dark, okay? And so because of that, the moon has also been obscured by the cloud cover. So that, of course, interrupts Jack's fight with Inuarashi and Nekomamushi's fight with Perospero. And it seems like the way Jack says it, by the way, we get a better perspective of Jack's hybrid form. I didn't even know he was in his hybrid form when he first used it. He's basically a mammoth centaur. So he basically has the mammoth body that extends behind him, and then he's like, you know, where the face of the mammoth, or like the tusks and the trunk would be. So he's more like a mammoth centaur, which looks pretty cool. So he's there lording over Inuarashi and just be like, oh, you damn dog, you know, if you got one more attack out on me, you probably would have won, but it's a good thing that the clouds showed up and it covered up the moon. Man, I tell you, one more attack, that's all. Like, if those clouds happened to disappear right now and that moon came out and you went back into Sulong, I'd be finished. Well, it's a good thing that's not gonna happen, right? Alright, I guess I'll slowly begin to finish you off now. And then cut over to Nekomamushi and Perospero, where it's a very similar situation. Perospero has like this giant candy axe, and he's like, ah, Peroin! You were almost there, you stupid catch, but now with this candy axe, I will be the one to slay you. You're on your 9th life! And we have Carrot and Wanda in the background. I guess they couldn't go into their Sulongs because, remember, like, Nekomamushi and Inuarashi are like the strongest minks in the series that are currently alive, is what I would assume. So even when they're critically injured, as long as the moon is out, they've trained enough, they can go into their Sulongs. Carrot and Wanda, it's like if they get injured enough, they might not be able just to go back into that form. It's very taxing for them, okay? So that's the reason I explained, like, why did they not go into their Sulongs to also help out Nekomamushi. Also, I just want to bring this up now. Like, look, okay, I understand Jack. All right, Jack is, okay, he's not the strongest all-star. I'm sorry, Jack, but it's true, okay? But he's got an ancient zone. He's a damn mammoth. You know, he's 28 years old. He's like in the prime of his life. So I can understand why this giant hulking mammoth dude would be hard to take down, right? You know, like why Inuarashi's having a rough time with him even in his Sulong. You know, I get that. Plus, ancient zones are just built tough, right? But Perospero, I mean, come on, like, I get it. He's the eldest son of Big Mom, but, you know, he's 50 years old. He's missing an arm. How hard is it to take this guy down? You know what I mean? Like, you just keep throwing strong characters at him and stuff. Like, Nekomamushi was, like, wrecking his day in Sulong. Like, how much endurance does this guy have? You know, just getting scratched up to high hell, like cat scratch fever by Nekomamushi, plus Carrot and Wanda fought him. Like, I understand, like, the Sulong form is sort of unstable because the moon is going to get covered by clouds. I get that. But it's like, in my mind, like, Carrot and Wanda just, like, blitzing them with Sulong. Like, that should be enough damage to, like, weaken him to the point where it's like, alright, and then Nekomamushi comes in, boom! It should be done! He should be done at that point, but whatever. Even though Nekomamushi went into 2 Sulongs to fight this guy, plus Carrot and Wanda were there, it's like he still has enough strength to make a giant axe. I mean, I guess don't mess with Perospero. I guess he has really good hockey. I mean, I guess he can use the candy as sort of like a shield on top of his hockey. I mean, maybe, but I just feel like this guy, I mean, he's 50. He should be like, oh, my hip! Because, of course, when you turn 50, of course, you have major hip dysplasia. That's obviously a thing. I don't know. I just feel like Perospero should have been taken out of this fight long before this chapter. All right, well, at any rate, that's the situation with them. At the same time, everybody in the hall learns that it's Momonosuke at this point, because they set it up on the roof, and also the Mary that's there also relays all the information to the rest of Onigashima. So they know it's Momonosuke now, and so we cut back to the roof, and so Momo's really scared. He's just like, oh, man, man, I don't know what to do now, Luffy. And Luffy honestly gives him a really solid pep talk, okay? It's brief, but basically Luffy just sums up like, Momo, you just bit one of the Yonko. You charged in and you chomped down on Kaido of the Beasts. This is literally the strongest monster in the world. Like, take a survey. Most people in the One Piece world will like, hey, do you think Kaido is the strongest person in the world? But most people are gonna check yes to that, alright? He has the highest active bounty out of any pirate. You know, one of the Yonko, Kaido the Wisdom King of the 100 Beast Pirates, like, you know, you attacked him head on. Is there anything else you should be afraid of at this point? And then Momo's like, well, if I went up against Rayleigh. I'm like, okay, that's fair. Well, also Mihawk. I guess also, yeah. Well, also if Shanks showed up. Well, yeah, that too. But, like, are you afraid of attacking anybody else right here? Okay, no, I should be alright. And then, you know, that kind of gets Momo some confidence. They don't go through the whole thing with Shanks and Mihawk and stuff, but to imply that there's some other really strong characters in One Piece, right? But yeah, Luffy gives him the pep talk. Momo's like, you know, hell no, I'm not scared. And Yamato's smiling like, yeah, Momo, you got this. Get your confidence. It's that easy. You can take on Kaido, right? Well, at this point, he also tells Momo, it's okay, I got this. It's a little bit, I mean, it's not contradictory. Luffy really wants to beat up Kaido, like, one-on-one. Like, you could tell, he really wants to do that, alright? I'm not sure if it'll work, but he really wants to do it. And so after Momo got his confidence back, he's like, don't worry, I'll take him from now on, right? Now, remember, all of this stuff is also relayed into the live stage. So, Luffy makes the big declaration like, I will definitely beat Kaido! That rings throughout the entire hall. And so Zoro and Sanji are like, that's our captain, go get him, Luffy. And then of course everybody else is just like, what, he's alive? And then we cut to Kid and Law, and Kid's like, you damn well better, and Law's just like, where were you this entire time? Okay, whatever, we have our own fight to deal with. Big Mom's there like, mama, oh, he's still spouting off such silly things, defeating Kaido. But of course all the Straw Hats are super pumped. Tama is crying, because Tama's just like, oh, I'm so glad big bro Luffy's alive, and Nami and Usopp are still with her, so, you know, everything's good. And so Kaido just kind of rears back, and he's just, like, he's looking serious now. Like, you know, it was kind of goofy when Momo bit him or whatever, but he's just like, oh, you know, them fighting words right there. Do you seriously think, Kid, do you seriously think that this is gonna end any different from the last 2 times we fought? Do you think that you could seriously defeat me? And Luffy just jumps in, and then Kaido charges, and they, you know, activate Conqueror's Ryuo, the lightning spewing off of them, and Luffy's like, as long as I'm alive, I have infinite chances! Boom! 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 Double page spread, the fucking heavens rip asunder with this massive clash of conquerors, indicative of when Whitebeard fought Roger, when Shanks clashed with Whitebeard. This is something in the One Piece story that is reserved when emperors clash. You might have been dubious up until this point of whether or not Luffy was worthy of the title of an emperor. Just because he has the bounty of an emperor, or it's getting close to there, a lot of people were like, well, he is not truly an emperor. And that goes for people in our world and people in the One Piece world, like Blackbeard. Blackbeard's like, it's too early for you, kid. But this panel right here at least conveys pretty damn clearly, according to Oda, Luffy's power and Kaido's power is comparable. I don't know if it's just going to be Luffy one-on-one against Kaido, if Yamato's going to help out or whatever, but this panel right here, this is the shit that happens when 2 emperors clash. And the only emperor I see is Kaido, and then there's Luffy. Transitive property, therefore Luffy is an emperor. Alright, at least like comparable. Now, does that mean Luffy is like the exact same power level of Kaido on every single respect? No. If that was the case, Luffy probably would have been able to fight him one-on-one since the beginning, right? But their power levels, at least at that moment, are comparable. Also, think of it like power levels like spiking. Like Luffy, when he really is like motivated, he's just recharged with all the food, and he's motivating himself, and he has that haki, and and boom, his power level just, boom, spikes through the roof right there as they both clash, alright? Now, is he going to be able to keep it up? That's the million-dollar question, but I guess we'll see. At any rate, before you get distracted by the giant clouds that are ripped asunder, I want you to pay attention to something that's beyond the clouds. Like the moon, for instance. The clouds are split. The moon, right in the middle. Very artistic, very beautiful. Also, very, very helpful for Nekomamushi and Inuarashi. They get the faintest glimmer of that moon, and you know it's not going to last very long, but they take the chance. Inuarashi, Neko, they go into their Sulongs. Boom, attack Jack. Boom, attack Perospero. And they both go down. So the attacks that they use... the Nekomamushi move is the Grinning Cat Claw, and it doesn't seem like he does anything all that special. It really seems like, honestly, from what it seems to me, it seems like he takes his claw and just swipes it so damn fast at Perospero, it creates an energy beam. Because it's like, meow! Boom! And then it just gets punched through with an energy beam. And Inuarashi's attack is an attack that uses his sword leg, his peg leg that's a sword, and he stabs right through Jack. That's the way more devastating one, alright? And this is something that I have to say about the Viz translations here. So they'll take, like, the Japanese name for an attack, and they'll translate it into English, like, roughly. So obviously what Oda is going for here is these are two attacks that are named after the fact that that's a cat and a dog for Nekomamushi and Inuarashi. Okay? So what they do is, in the Viz translation, it's Feline Frenzy and Canine Cleaver, which are cool names for the attack. Just something that I would prefer with Viz that they do, and I've actually seen this done with other manga, like that are like Tankobon format in the States. Like Black Butler does this. I think Black Butler is published by Yen Press, but anyway, a reference page would be nice. I like that kind of stuff because it's like, hey, it's cool that you're like naming these attacks in English, but I'd still like to see the original Japanese of what the attacks were. Same thing for the title of the chapter, because Viz mentioned the pivotal clash, and they didn't say anything about the Tenozan or the mountain or the connection to the Sengoku period or whatever. Like, I had to find that out through other sources, okay? So I would, like, prefer that with Viz. Like, you could have the whole chapter, like, normal, but maybe at the end of the chapter you could have, like, a little reference page. Like, the original title of this chapter was Tenozan. It means this. It references this. Inuarashi and Nekomamushi's attacks were originally named this, which mean that. Like, you could still have the English version. Canine Cleaver is a pretty damn cool name for an attack, you know, let me tell you. But I'd like that, because I like to know a little bit more about, like, what these attacks mean and what the kanji are and everything. Like, if Viz could provide that, that'd be great. Anyway, so, last scene of the chapter, though, where Luffy and Kaido clash, we do not see the repercussions of that. We don't see how the clash ended. A lot of these chapters are ending on that, like the final clash or a pivotal clash in this case, and we don't see how it, you know, resolves until the next chapter. But I'm hoping it's pretty cool. I'm hoping it's just, they clash, Luffy jumps back, Kaido rears back, they're both maybe a little bit injured, but they're still standing and just like, okay, let's do this. And Kaido's like, alright, I guess I'm fighting you again for real. Goes back into his hybrid form, is like, alright, let's try this again. You know, if you get knocked over the side this time, though, do not come back up. I can't be doing this shit all night, alright? You know, so that'd be interesting. We'll see how that goes. But, yeah, I mean, at that moment, Luffy's power might have just spiked because he did heal. He'd had time to eat and everything and recover. So he might not last as long as Kaido would in terms of endurance, but we'll see. Now, last scene of the chapter, after we definitively see Jack and Perospero defeated, like the narrator actually comes on and is just like, Jack, one of the All-Stars, defeated. Perospero, eldest son of the Big Mom family, defeated. So finally, that's how you know a battle is really over. When the narrator gets off his ass and he's like, alright, this battle's over. Alright, I'm gonna go sit down, have some pie or something, you know? Like, that's how you know the fight is over. So Jack is out, Perospero out, alright? And the very, very last panel, as we see Inuarashi going back into his normal form, and Jack is defeated in front of him, one of the sliding doors opens up in like a floor above him, like somebody was watching his fight the whole time, and it is none other than I am Orochi! Oh no, Jack has been defeated! That's not good. Well, I guess that doesn't concern me. I gotta get out of here. there, and so that's the end of the chapter. Orochi is once again still alive, even though after being decapitated by Kaido, and then decapitated again by Kinemon, and then decapitated again by Ashura Doji, and then decapitated again. He was decapitated by a lot of people. Actually, I don't think Ashura was the... I think Ashura was the only one of the scabbards that didn't get a chance to decapitate him because he was already blown up at that point, but he got decapitated a lot, alright, in this story. So, he's still alive, of course. I'm still going along with the logic of, like, okay, it's because of the Yamato no Orochi fruit. So he has, like, multiple lives, or maybe the heads can regrow, or whatever the hell. It's like the Lemaean Hydra from the Heracles myth or something. Maybe it's like that. It doesn't really matter, because it's not like Orochi is going to be like, okay, everybody, you are all defeated. The Tobiropo, the All-Stars, even Kaido and Big Mom. I am the final challenge for you all. Roar! You must now defeat Lord Orochi. Like, everybody would just dice him up into cubes before he could do anything, and he couldn't do anything anyway. So even Orochi running around is, like, not a big deal. Like, oh no, he's still alive. Whatever shall we do? You know, so eventually somebody's going to catch up to him. Maybe Momo now. Maybe Momo could just go back into Onigashima, see Orochi, and just be like, oh, there's Orochi. Oh. Oh. Ah. Tastes like a big ball of grease. Ah, whatever. He's dead now. You know, it's just like, maybe that will resolve the situation there. Actually, Momo, with his, like, inexperience with his dragon form, fighting against Orochi, that could be, like, Momo would definitely win if he goes dragon and just eats him, if that's literally how that goes. But, you know, that would be a conflict. You can have a fight there. I mean, why not, right? If Momo's not going to be there for Luffy, or if Luffy wants to take on Kaido himself, I really hope Yamato stays behind. I hope Yamato and Luffy fight together. I mean, that would be really cool to see, to help out. But, yeah, I mean, pretty epic scene, pretty epic, you know, moment there. Also, the male Mary got knocked out with the Conqueror's Hockey, and so he was right about to be like, the skies are splitting, you know, Conquerors, and then he got knocked out. So that proves that that dude was in fact a human, and so therefore not all the Marys are clockwork, okay, because that's where that comes from there. But anyway, yeah, that's the end of the chapter, and no break next week. No break next week, so that's pretty good, that's pretty solid, and we'll continue on from there. But yeah, great chapter. So I guess we got all the Tobiropo fights taken care of. This is the first All-Star to fall. Of course, we knew it was going to be Jack. Like, I'm sure King was going to be the first of the All-Stars to hit the floor. So Jack is out, and Perospero, thank God, Usopp is finally out of the fight. Pedro, you have been avenged! Kinda, whatever, you've been avenged! Alright, so, yeah, but also along with that, I would say Neko and Inu, they're kind of done. I don't think they're going to be able to help anymore. I mean, they might join the fray to fight against, like, the Waiters and the Pleasures, but they're not going to be able to fight any, like, big, you know, strong opponents at this point. Unless Orochi does show up and they just all join together and all slice him down again, right? It's like, man, we keep cutting these guys' head off, but he keeps coming back. Like, what do we have to do? Orochi keeps popping out, you don't understand, you fools! My heads can regenerate for... Shh! Quit doing that! It's very annoying! Shh! Damn it! You know, it's like, do we just set them on fire? Wait, no, don't do that! You know, so that'd be funny. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video and the review and all that stuff. Thanks for watching. This will be Tekking. This will be Barry, signing out. Later, everyone. I am Lord Orochi!